WP amateur mages make the mistake of investing in elaborate names, flashy clothes, and long-winded titles. Although they may look intimidating, they really are. The most powerful mages often wield the most benign and scrappy gear possible. Some say the most powerful mage has but a single pencil. "Excuse me, beggar, but I believe you owe me a new belt." A brash, magically amplified voice echoed across the market square. Shoppers paused in their bartering, glancing at the source of the commotion. A young man wearing eye-wateringly bright red and gold robes brandished an elaborately carved stave at a much less conspicuously dressed person. The latter figure had stopped, but hadn't turned around to face their accuser, their identity obscured by the well-weathered traveling cloak wrapped around their person, their worn leather traveling pack strapped tight over hunched shoulders. "I beg your pardon?" A low, tired voice responded, and a small gasp issued from some onlookers at the lack of respect in the response. Wizards were the power behind the Mage King's rule, and anyone who slighted someone with a magic gift was asking for trouble. Power was prestige, and the demonstration of magic in public was one such way that those hoping to draw the favor of the king made themselves known to him. Those lucky enough to be selected for the trials might one day find themselves a candidate for the noble circle, the advisory council for the king. A small circle of onlookers began forming around the pair as the scene slowed market business to a halt. Aldebaran had shown up a week prior, dazzling some with pyrotechnic displays and demonstrations of his talents, but also causing rumblings of discontent as his personality stank as badly as the brimstone he conjured. "You heard me," the young man continued, his eyes flaring with what was clearly an illusory glow, impeccably groomed beard and mustache quivering with each haughty syllable. "That filthy cloak of yours has stained my gold-threaded silk sash with whatever muck you've clearly been rolling about in. If anyone else dared to mar the appearance of Aldebaran the azure-flamed phoenix, they would be throwing themselves to the ground, begging I take whatever paltry payment they could offer as restitution, lest I reduce them to so much ash in the wind. You clearly have no idea who you're dealing with." "You're correct there, never heard of you," the figure shrugged, then sighed. "All right, guess we're doing this then. Very good, you may grovel if you wish, and if whatever payment you can scrounge up is to my liking, then you may remove yourself from my sight," Aldebaran sneered. The cloaked figure straightened up, pushing back his hood to reveal simply cut hair, brown laced with the gray of late middle age. His beard was likewise of similar form, cut neatly to a practical length, but otherwise unremarkable. Turning to face his accuser, he shrugged the cloak back over his shoulders to free his arms, revealing an undyed homespun tunic, canvas traveler's pants cinched with a plain leather belt, a large book-sized pouch hanging from it at his hip. The only other adornment on his person was a simple brass medallion hanging around his neck, with what appeared to be a capital V stamped on its face. If Aldebaran hadn't been striking an overly dramatic pose with his nose held high in the air, he might have noticed the first signs of trouble, namely the fact that several onlookers had gained panicked looks on their faces, and the ring surrounding them had nearly doubled in radius as the crowd backed up. If he'd been paying attention, he would have noticed the simple wax-covered wood tablet drawn from the hip pouch, and the bored look of mild annoyance on the older man's face as he drew a stylus from inside his sleeve. "Aldebaran the azure-flamed phoenix, you said," the old man muttered as the stylus scratched across the face of the tablet. Aldebaran jumped slightly as he suddenly realized the other man had not started groveling. A look of outrage crossed his face. "Unless it is to beg, keep my magnificent name out of your dirty." The older man tucked the stylus under the thumb holding the tablet and snapped his fingers, the sound somehow echoing across the entire square. Aldebaran froze mid-sentence. For a few moments, silence fell across the market before the older man spoke. "First lesson. Names have power. Wouldn't have been able to do this if I didn't have that little bit of information," he said dryly as he walked towards his opponent. As expected, the only movement he could see were those glowering eyes, frantically blinking as the younger man began to comprehend his situation. Continued next comment.